Hello and welcome to the DSR Daily. I'm David Rothkopf, joined as ever by Riley and Minna. How are you, Riley and Minna?
Pretty good.
Excited about the debate.
The debate's over, Minna. You missed it.
No, I'm excited to talk about the debate.
Oh, I see. Riley, did you actually stay up that
I
late?
did. I watched the whole debate. It was awesome. I
Oh,
loved it.
it was amazing. Yeah, no, I don't know if we've seen any of the ratings because there was a lot of talk before the debate that maybe 70 million people would watch it. And having watched it, gosh, I hope they did. What was your take, Minna?
My take was that I thought Harris did a great job. I think it's very hard to debate Trump because, what strategy can you take, right? He doesn't speak in facts. He just kind of says whatever and says you're lying if you say true things. So I thought her strategy was make him seem crazy, and he took all the bait. And so it worked. And I thought it was very successful. And in that sense, she won. And in a sense of sounding presidential, she won there too. And I thought the moderators were excellent, asked great questions, corrected some false information. And I thought overall it was very well done.
Well, that's sort of consistent with a lot of the takes that were out there. Riley, what else do you have to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, to say what Minna said, she found the strategy of give Trump enough rope to hang himself with, and it worked beautifully. I mean, he took all the bait. And yeah, I mean, from what I was reading after the fact of kind of what other people thought, Washington Post had an interesting, they kind of interviewed 25 swing state voters during the debate. 10 of them were Trump supporters. And after the fact, only 2 people thought that Trump won the debate. The other 23 thought Harris won. So clearly, even the median voter kind of saw that Harris dominated here, including people that are Trump supporters vocally. So, I mean, it seems like it was kind of a no contest from even the average viewer's perspective, which is great. I mean, it was a no contest. It was a bloodbath.
For me personally, I wasn't going to vote for Harris until Trump said that a main campaign promise of hers is to give transgender operations to illegal immigrants in prison. And once I heard that, I was like, well, she's got my vote.
Well, that's interesting. I personally still will probably vote for Trump because I'm afraid of the marauding gangs of immigrants that are eating our pets. And I have a pet, and I would feel terrible if an immigrant ate my pet.
Yeah, as an
And
Ohioan with pets, that was
Right.
that really struck home for me. I don't want my dogs and cats to be eaten.
Yeah. Seriously, however, I wrote a piece, by the way, late last night at the Daily Beast, in which I said, if this were a boxing match by any metric, she wins. The number of punches, the power of the punches, the style with which she did it. I thought one of the most masterful things was you could look at it and say, this was a prosecutor, well prepared, point by point, always supporting what she said with facts, doing so to the camera, doing so with really great eloquence in a number of key places. Um, and sort of winning the debate by the normal metrics of a debate. But as both of you indicated, the other thing that she did was she kept him off balance the whole time. And she did it from the moment she walked up to shake his hand to the periodic references to things that she knew would set him off, that set him off. Like, oh, people are leaving your rallies early and there are not many people there. And he was like, he lost it after that. I mean, he was just unable to contain himself. But she did it time and time again. So it was this kind of masterful kind of 2-level thing where she was doing the debate, but she was also playing off of Trump, setting Trump off. And so not only did she win the debate, but he lost the debate. He was terrible. He was frightening. finally, the other thing that I was struck by, and probably could have written an entire other piece about, but it didn't, was how much of the debate was on our favorite subjects, national security and foreign policy subjects. And she was great on every single one of them. Whether she was talking about Israel and Gaza, very tough issues. She was talking about Ukraine. She was talking about China. She was talking about tariffs. She was talking about NATO. It was very clear that this woman was ready to be the commander in chief.
And then Trump was like, Viktor Orban knows my name.
Yeah, no, and exactly. How bizarre. I mean, how bizarre.
It's a weird flex.
It was as weird a flex as it gets, except that there was the dogs and the cats.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so Trump clearly did not spend 1 second preparing for this debate. He just thought he could wipe the floor with her. And although some people think he will debate her again, don't do it, bro.
Yeah, no
I
shot.
don't think he will.
No way.
I mean, she will grind him up and spit him out, and he does not want this any closer to the debate. Here's one take you will not hear anyplace except for the rude confines of DSR.
Whoa. A DSR exclusive.
It's a DSR exclusive. But I was just communicating with one of our DSR friends about this. Joe Biden's a great guy. We love Joe Biden. He's been a great president. But boy, did this debate make it clear that shifting from him to her was the right thing to do.
Yeah. I actually said that during the debate. I said, we made the right choice.
Yeah. No, he must have been watching it going, yeah. I couldn't have done that. But that was another weird flex for Trump, where he goes after Biden. He goes after him 15 different ways because he was planning to run against him and said he was asleep before the afternoon. But at one point he goes, Biden hates you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what?
But that part was so confusing. Like, he was like going in and out of dialogue about Biden and Viktor Orban. I turned to my friend who I watched it with. I was like, did he just say Viktor Orban doesn't like Kamala Harris? Like, who cares?
Like,
and she was like, no, he's talking about Biden. I'm like, the weave has lost me on this one. Like, I can't follow the weave here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really true. I suspect that last night, sitting up late in his Kremlin hideaway, Vladimir Putin was going, oh shit. Bibi Netanyahu was going, uh-oh. Because these foreign leaders, bad guys, who are depending on the re-election of Trump, must be thinking we're not going to get our way. I mean, that was another one. Trump couldn't even say he wanted Ukraine to win.
Yeah, that was the most insane dodge of the night, because not only did the moderators ask him the first time, but didn't they ask him 2 more times to say definitively one way or the other, and he just would not say it? I mean,
well, by the way,
that's a very easy question to answer.
Yeah, just say yes.
But one of the things that drives me absolutely freaking crazy, and these moderators were much better than past moderators, but it nonetheless drives me crazy, that Trump continues to say, Putin would never have invaded Ukraine if I were president. Putin invaded Ukraine in 2014. Putin was waging the war in Ukraine every minute that Trump was president, and he didn't do anything about it. Somebody needs to say that to him. Somebody needs to say, dude, completely wrong.
But there's so many moments like that too. Like, they didn't say that Nancy Pelosi didn't do January 6th and never has said that she did January 6th. There's no tape of that anywhere that we need to find. So,
and here we haven't even gotten to the big things, right? probably the biggest thing in terms of election consequences, Trump embracing his destruction of Roe versus Wade again.
Yeah.
And her absolutely impassioned and eloquent argument about it was extremely powerful. Trump reiterated the big lie. He could easily have just taken the bait and said,
I was
no.
I was stunned that he actually, I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I was surprised he so blatantly started peddling the big lie again in this debate. I thought he would just dodge, but he couldn't help himself. Again, it's kind of played on Harris's strategy of let his ego take the reins and give him little prods that he can't resist defending himself on. And the big lie was one of the biggest parts where he couldn't help but say that he won. He can't admit that he lost.
And also
and just
and also defending the January 6th rioters, which nobody picked up on. But at one point, did you note that he said the J6?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I was like, what the fuck? Who is he talking to? Is this a QAnon code message? You know, and it is, right? I mean, he's talking to that group of people. And Trump's most impassioned moment of the night was speaking out on behalf of Ashley Babbitt. You know, which was like, holy crap. So I mean, as much as you got to give her credit, dude also like delivered a lot of hard blows to himself.
Yeah. I mean, the soundbite the soundbite of the night, I mean, there's a lot, but it has to be, I have concepts of a plan. I mean, that was just too good. You cannot write a funnier response to, do you have a plan than, well, I have concepts of one. I mean, come on. Like that was, I mean.
For after saying for 9 years, 9 years, folks, the first time he said he had concepts of a plan was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And he still has nothing better than that?
Well, in the closing, I wish, you know, obviously it's a closing statement, so you can't rebut it. But when he talked about why haven't you done anything, I wanted somebody to say, bro, you were the one who was actually the president for 4 years, and you didn't do anything, and you didn't do healthcare. You didn't make good on most of your promises. You didn't build the wall. I mean, that attack.
Well, I agree with you. I think there's that speaks to that. I think there's an area that she could have done better. I mean, she did great. So you know, I'm like sitting here in my house giving advice. But the reality is, Democrats on a regular basis should not just when Republicans or Trump go after Biden's economic record, they shouldn't say, well, we'll do better in the future. That it's just the wrong answer to me. The right answer is we created more jobs than anybody else. We had the biggest recovery of any country in the developed world. We brought inflation from 9% now to under 3%. It's 2 point something. We've had the highest stock market performance ever in the history of the world. We've invested more in American competitiveness than anybody else. We've invested more in American infrastructure than anybody else. We've invested more in green energy and a green energy revolution than anybody else. We have a record of achievement on economic issues that make a difference for people, like cutting the price of drugs, you know, bringing the price of insulin down to $35 for seniors and then for the rest of Americans shortly, bringing the price of 10 major drugs down. Doing all of this while experiencing a period of greater growth than any developed economy in the world. That's a great record. Stop running away from it. You know, say, sure, Americans, you know, want more. They deserve more, and I'm going to give them more. But don't let Trump sort of cow you into, you know, this bullshit that somehow the U.S. economy is in trouble now, because it's not. Sorry.
No, sorry. I mean, you're absolutely right. It was, and you know, my one criticism during the debate was just like people didn't directly answer questions, and then I had to remember that's every debate. You know, very rarely do debaters directly be like, yes, here's the exact answer to your question, and that's it. I mean, You
But I
know,
also thought that like Harris is trying to use this as an opportunity for people to get to know her.
mhm.
And I did think that there were some questions that, yeah, she didn't really answer the question, but she was using it as an opportunity to let people know who she is. And that was effective. Like, I did feel like I left the debate knowing more about who she is and where she stands on issues. And I think maybe to her, that was more important than making sure she answered every question exactly.
Well, she had a limited amount of time. And by the way, all of you Trump whiners who are saying, oh, the moderators were unfair. Trump had 6 minutes more speaking time. He had something like 10 or 11 more interventions than she did. He had every conceivable advantage in the way that the debate itself played out. But she still, I think, spoke for a total of whatever it was, a half an hour of time, right? You can't do everything. You have to be very strategic about what you say and what you do. And, like one of the things we haven't brought up here, but I thought was great. It was one of those moments like, Jesus, if only Joe Biden had done this, where she said, you're a convicted felon. She listed all of his crimes. That was another one of those moments she really kind of got under his skin, I thought.
It was
I
very
mean,
effective.
she said he was an adjudicated abuser of women or whatever it was. I mean, that was heavy. And he was just like, what do I do? But these things should all, if in every debate people went straight at Trump with the facts, people fact checked him in real time, he wouldn't be able to run for dog catcher. Finally, people are learning how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
In your scanning of the internet following the debate, have either of you come up with anything else additional we need to add to this?
Well, we're missing one of the most important stories after the debate.
Yes, but I thought we
uh,
would save that for the end.
A key
well, we're nearing the end.
All right,
Yes.
perfect.
Yes.
A key endorsement following the debate, the one we've all been waiting for, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris for president in a pretty long post to her 284 million followers.
Yeah.
We all laugh when celebrities endorse candidates, but I think this one is actually pretty significant. Like it or not,
I don't know. I'm a skeptic on this.
I don't know. I
don't think it's going to do harm. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's going to do anything bad.
Are you anti-Taylor, Minna?
No, I'm not actually. I'm a huge Swiftie. I just get suspicious about these celebrity endorsements.
You give off this whole Billie Eilish thing to me.
Right.
I mean,
my dark, brooding personality. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that was it. I just thought you would be kind of anti-Taylor. But
I just get suspicious of these celebrity endorsements. And like Taylor Swift also endorsed Joe Biden, and I don't remember huge reports on how that swung the election. I don't know. I think it's good. Again, I don't think it's going to do anything bad. It's not going to hurt. I just don't know if it's going to get young people to turn out in huge numbers just because of this.
This is the year of the influencer. This is the campaign of the influencer. You never before a campaign, you never heard of influencers. Now they're having like meetings between candidates and influencers. We're fucking influencers, by the way. Somebody's being influenced by what we're doing. We should be in on that. Anyway, the point is, she is the mega influencer of mega influencers. So it does make an impact. But I do think it brings us to a key point, a point I tried to make in what I wrote. And that is Harris won every round last night. Harris won on substance, on style, on power, on strategy, on goading Trump. Trump lost on every round. There are a lot of pluses, including being endorsed by Taylor Swift at the end of the whole thing. And we wake up today and it's a close race. and it's a close race, and it will stay a close race. One of the ways I describe it in the article that I wrote was, people talk a lot about low information voters, but Trump's base is actually no information voters. It's people who don't listen to anything, and where the facts don't matter. And they're going to be there. They're going to be 45% of the people who vote in this election. And so the whole thing is now a contest where incremental advances that get somebody who will vote for Harris, or make somebody more likely to go out and actually cast their ballot, are what this is all about. And so each one of those rounds she won last night helped. Taylor Swift helped, but it's going to have to continue now for another 55 days. It's going to have to, we're going to have to keep doing this. Last night was Philadelphia. It was a prize fight, so I can't help but think of Rocky. But this particular series is going to not end until we're at Rocky 55, because it's going to have to happen every single day. Of course, we'll cover that here because that's what we do. We get up early in the morning, we read all the papers around the world, and in the case of today, we ignore them and we just tell you what we think. But we don't do that too often. It was just a special night. And we'll have more discussion of these various things on our various podcasts during the course of this week. I personally am going off to a battleground state now, Michigan. So I will report from battleground Michigan what I see and hear. And we'll be back with you tomorrow. I don't know if I will be, but maybe I will be. We'll see if I am awake in Michigan. Until then, thank you, Minna. Thank you, Raleigh. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And stay tuned for more from the DSR Network.